I'm still figuring out my mic, so please just deal with the text-to-speech bot for now. Disclaimer: discussions of rape, suicide, sexual assault, grooming, gaslighting please noted. Do not attack anyone in this video. Any kind of harassment isn't okay, even if the person is in the wrong. Doxaxing, harassing, and stalking of any kind is not tolerated. So fun side tangent before we start. My family and I were out of power for the last couple of days, and we just recently got it back. And imagine my fucking surprise when I'm driving back home with my dad, stuck in a Burger King drive-thru of hell, and look on my YouTube For You page to find that a response was made. A warm welcome for sure. Synnibear03’s, if you didn't know, was a YouTube animator known for her animation memes. Recently, Cynthia has gotten into a small spot of trouble within the last, who am I kidding, this bitch gets into trouble every month or so, thanks to parasocial weirdos. This drama, though in big quotations, has been caused thanks to her own actions this time, and those actions are grooming a fucking 14-year-old, or, in more literal terms, sending and requesting inappropriate and blatantly sexual material from said 14-year-old. To be even clearer, this material wasn't of the minor. Thank God, but instead of, give me a second here, non-consensual fantasies between an alternate version of an Undertale character and a Friday Night Funkin' original character.
Cut the cameras. Dead ass.
Moving on, Cynthia obviously, and rightfully, got a lot of backlash from this. Her roommate, Jack, who you may also know as Birdie, had no clue this was happening, and moved out with the help of its fans and friends, because it felt unsafe living with her. With all the exposition out of the way, Cynthia has made a response, and it's something. Certainly. Now, to be clear, I'll mostly be criticizing how the response was worded and written, with even bigger quotations, but near the end, I will get into my personal perspective on the situation. Now, a lot of other people have already covered the video, and they all have a lot more experience and ties to Cynthia, so I would really recommend looking up other people's videos on this topic. One I can recommend is definitely Shister's video, which covers most of the points Cynthia brings up. I'll leave a link in the description. With all that yapping done, here's the actual start of the video, which is just more yapping.
It honestly feels like everyone has their own definition of what grooming is, which is so fucking dangerous. But smart people define child grooming as the act of deliberately establishing a relationship with a child to prepare them for abuse.
This is your own definition of grooming. Like, straight up, there's nothing particularly different between grooming and child grooming, apart from who the victim is. A lot of these qualifiers, as you treat them, can be used on adults when they're being groomed as well. It's also important to note that these are not qualifiers, they are commentators. Some can be used more than others when it comes to a case of grooming. One child may respond to fear more than praise, and vice versa. I'm not going to cover any bits about Birdie or Jack, as he prefers to be called in as much or in much specific detail, because he's not involved. I don't give a shit what he's done. This video should have been a response to the allegations, not talking about some roommate who felt unsafe living with someone who sent inappropriate material to a minor.
Now, I did ask them to make things for me a lot. The most inappropriate thing I think I've asked was for like a comic. I'm not gonna pretend I'm justified for doing that. No, I think it was inappropriate. Fucking weird and cringy. But everything else I can think of is mostly just ship art.
The problem here is that she doesn't directly say what the comic was about. Sure, the screenshots show it, but you do need to audibly admit what you've done. It's weird. You move past this like you didn't ask a 14-year-old to make sexual material. No matter the motivation, that's pretty gross and alarming, especially since you knew Inno's age, and just saying it was weird and cringes doesn't help. Stop acting like this isn't a big red flag.
Victim selection. I did not select them. In fact, they talked to me first.
This is the part of her response that made me want to make this video. She moves past this point way too quickly. She may not have reached out, but she did respond, and no matter who brought up the sexual topics, she responded to them, instead of rejecting them. Yes, a bit of responsibility would fall on Eno if they did start these discussions, but it's your responsibility to teach them why it's inappropriate to speak that way to adults. No matter how you put this seems like victim blaming. The reason I'm framing this as Cynthia saying Eno started the chats is because she doesn't specifically say who started the sexual discussions in this video. But we can assume who did, and guess what, it's Cynthia. Again, this just feeds into the victim blaming tone of her video.
There's some other things that we really need to discuss when we're talking about this whole grooming situation. So firstly, I am a hetero woman. I am attracted to men, as you can see from these fucking cringy ass conversations that I had with Eno. I did not want to date Eno.
And this is a dumb point. She sent sexual contact to a child. It doesn't really matter who she's attracted to, or her possible motivation. She sent the images, and we have proof of that. People can groom others without knowing it, because people can manipulate others without realizing it. Dumb point. Moving on.
I did not want to date Eno. I never considered that as an option. I did not reach out to Eno, and it took Eno 3 months of persistently pestering, prying, and giving me gifts before I finally gave in and spoke to them. From the start, I remained very reserved and kept Eno beyond arm's length. I wasn't super interested in talking to them until they sent me an image of me laying in bed, and I made a joke about it being inaccurate because Boy wasn't there. Once Eno started indulging in my very strong autistic infatuation with Boy, that's when I started talking a lot more. And as we kept talking, I felt a lot more comfortable sharing certain things about the character that I liked, including personal fantasies.
This isn't even trying not to be victim blaming. Eno was 14, and clearly a fan of hers. It's Cynthia's responsibility to regulate any conversations with minors, no matter if the minor brings up her interest. It doesn't matter that you're autistic. Autism may be a reason, but it's certainly not an excuse. Talking to Eno would have been fine, but the fact you started to share sexual material is highly irresponsible. I won't be covering the rest of this video in detail, mostly because it boils down to bringing up faceless and possibly biased testimonies and trashing her roommate. This video isn't really a response, it's more like a distraction from the facts, but I don't think this is deliberate. In recent, Cynthia has clearly shown to be a threat to herself and others, threatening Jack, buying weapons, and if Jack's testimony is to be believed, even talking about driving off the road deliberately. I don't think Cynthia had the intention to groom Eno, but no matter how you look at it, she did. Cynthia, if you are watching this, which I doubt you are, let's be honest, I think you need to get professional help, not just a therapist. If you continue down this road, you'll only hurt yourself and others. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have any criticism, please leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't die, I guess.
Gov and almostlegal.co.jp?
I've heard of barely legal. What the hell is...
Holy fuck, too young.
What is she, Asian? Oh god, that